So Rome, all kinds of stuff throughout the north. What are they looking for? Exotic animals for their circuses, for their gladiator fights, for their Christian fights. So we can put lions and bears and things like that into the Colosseum and put Christians in there and kill them. Okay, remember, Christianity was not accepted right away by the Romans for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about that when we get to Europe. Okay, so we do have some things going on during that time period. Let's move on to 600 to 1450. Aren't we doing well now? Excellent. Oh my. Same thing. We see Ethiopia, which is down over here. What do we know about Ethiopia? They are Christian. So was Axum, which is near it as well. A-X-U-M. Or, depending on your textbook, can either be Axum or Axum.
Oh, it's Axum.
Either one. That's an X, by the way. The Ethiopians, based on trade, grew an enormous empire. During this time period, all of that is going to unravel when we get to the Islamic areas that are going to diffuse through that region. Spread of Islam is going to have an important role in Africa at this time period. Remember, maybe it's not going to work for me. Did you say? It is not my shadow. Remember, Islam is from Mecca, and then it will diffuse throughout the Middle East, and then it will ultimately make its way through the Maghreb, through northern Africa, and then slowly through these trade routes, bless you, through sub-Saharan or through trans-Saharan Africa, and then ultimately down into sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? As it moves across, remember, part of Islam is about trading. And so Islam was generally not forced upon you. It was something that was asked of you. And then they would say, are you a Muslim? And you would say no. And they would say, well, I don't really like to trade with people that aren't Muslims because they're trying to take advantage of me. And then you say, oh, I forgot I'm a Muslim. I thought you asked me something else. And then they said, I'd love to trade with you. And so what we see is generally it is a peaceful conversion throughout Africa. There are times that we convert you by the sword, but that is usually the exception rather than the rule. We also see that it tends to be a top-down. Has everyone signed this?
No.
Oh, you guys just like leave it here? It's all there. This table's fault. What do we mean by a top-down conversion process?
It starts with the higher classes and trickles down to the lesser classes.
Starts with the elite. And it really starts with the traders, but then guess what the elite people want? All the goods that the traders have. And so then they convert. And then it begins to trickle down. In some cases, it never trickles down. The elite remain Islamic, however, the average person in some of these African states never become Islamic, and they remain animistic or polytheistic, and they keep their culture. Anytime, however, we do see a conversion of religion, whether it's Islam, whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Christianity, we generally see some kind of intermixing with those areas, intermixing of the religions itself. Okay? And so we will see Islam forming with these polytheistic religions, and so certain aspects of polytheistic or animistic ideas will then be included. Ethiopians, they refuse to convert to Islam, and because of that, they are crushed. Okay? Huge amounts of money that was stored up because of its location on the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean are slowly and slowly and slowly being drained to where Ethiopia really becomes this second-rate nation and then really a third-rate nation to where they are just nothing. Islam throughout this time period sweeps over this whole region. There are three main Sudanic empires in Western Africa in this time period, and really it'll straddle because two of them will be in this time period. Ghana and Mali, and then Songhai will be in the 1500s, but I put them there anyway because they go in that order, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Ghana is our first, literally means king. It is from around 700 to 1000 CE. How does it make its money? What's that? No, surprisingly enough. A huge amount of trade, but they are still agriculturally based. However, the trade is significant because they are the Georgia 400, if you will, of trans-Saharan trade. You would pay them money at the entrance of their empire, and then at the you wouldn't have to when you exited, and then they would ensure a safe travel for you throughout their empire. And so they're kind of like the toll booth on 400. And so as these trade networks developed, and Ghana is in kind of this area here, as these trade, they would come down here, and then these would link here, and they would try to go over there, and I think there was one cruising there, and then this guy would come all the way over to there, something like that, and maybe this guy would go over there. Okay? You would come, pay your money, and then you would have a safe travel. You could avoid the 50 cents and go around, but there were raiders constantly looking to strip all of your caravan goods. Okay, and so it was better off for you to pay money. Now, they ultimately decline, and what comes in its place is Mali, which becomes a larger empire. Mali is probably going to be our best example of an African empire during this time period. It will rival any other empire at this period in terms of wealth, in terms of architectural skills, and things of that nature. Probably the most famous of our Malians was Mansa Kankan Musa.